What's up, guys? Welcome back. We got our week number 3 recap. So, already 3 weeks of OWL 2020 already in the bag. Some teams have played 4 matches now at this point, while others have played 0. A couple of general Overwatch news. We heard today that tomorrow we are going to have the 1-3-2 triple DPS, 2 healers, 1 tank composition is going to be tried out on the live servers for PC as well as console on Overwatch. So, if you want to play some 3 DPS, I'm sure that'll probably it should knock down queue times. So that at least will be nice because a ton of people queue for DPS and you only have to find 1 tank as opposed to 2. So if you want to try that out, feel free. Personally, I have been enjoying playing Overwatch more and more. The last few weeks slash months leading up to Overwatch League, I didn't play much at all. My group that I played with didn't as much, and I didn't solo queue as much either. But the game is more enjoyable now. I think with a couple of small May nerfs, maybe a couple of buffs to a couple minor buffs to a few DPS players who need a little bit of love, and I think we're in a very good spot for the game. But yeah, so we got 1-3-2. Other bit of news is for OWL. They have decided to well, cancel the matches in Seoul. Coronavirus has, it's starting to spread, and they want to, for the safety of fans, players, and everybody else involved. The games, as you can see, week 5 for the Seoul one has been taken off. I think so 6 it's just mayhem. So they have not yet said how they are planning on making these up. The rumors are that it's not going to be in front of a live audience, probably. Um, so we'll see. I mean, they're gonna have to figure out something. I really feel for the teams like Atlanta, Guangzhou, Hangzhou, Seoul, Shanghai, who have not been able to play yet. They've had to watch the other teams play, and all they can do is practice and kind of sit around and wait. So hopefully that all gets resolved. I will keep you guys updated when new information comes out. Because I'm very interested to see pretty much all of those teams in action. But yeah, it's some crazy stuff going on over there in Asia. Hopefully it gets fixed soon, and the scientists are able to come up with some cures. So anyway, now recap for week number 3. Since we had a couple more matches, for me there were pretty much four big takeaways that I want to talk about. Number one, Philly becomes top dog for now. They had in the first half, convincing lead on Excelsior. Then second half, Excel looked like a better team. But Philly did edge them out in map 4 to take it 3-1. So they are the better team at this point. I would rank them as, I think you could put them at 3. Personally, I would put them at 4 behind San Francisco, Vancouver, and Gladiators. That's just me personally, because I think that Vancouver would beat them, and Gladiators were essentially an equal match to the Titans, so I'd say they're a little bit better, and then San Francisco as well, even though we don't have as much. We only have one match to look at for them, and they didn't look as dominant. But I still think those 3 teams are better than Philadelphia. Other than that, yeah, you got to give it to Philly. They would be 4th best in my eyes, or 3rd. Because results. At the end of the day, we can talk about power ranking type stuff. We can talk about how loaded the rosters are, but if you don't produce results, that doesn't matter. And Philly, to their credit, has produced those results. Going off of that, the only real reason I thought New York lost this match, though, I thought Philly's coaching did a little bit better job. Their plans for catching Jonak out and getting picks on him and enabling Carpe and whatnot, I thought that those were better than the plans that New York had. New York's plan just seemed to be get aggressive, hit big antis, and push off of them. And they were putting Jonak in bad situations, and he was getting picked. But for me, that match just came down to who are you, who had an absolutely horrendous performance on May. I think it's the worst May performance I've seen. Maybe the worst performance of any player in Overwatch League in the first 3 seasons. To be perfectly honest, um, if I don't like being super negative, but I feel like sometimes when it's this bad, you have to kind of point it out. When I was watching this match, I was really tempted to like make a fucking VOD showing how badly his walls were, how he was constantly behind an alt charge, how his ultra was getting gobbled up, or if they weren't, they were getting absolutely nothing because Philly was just disengaging off it. And Philly is an extremely good disengaged team. Poco is a great diva, but still, there's no excuses. All the divas are great in the league. And Mays find ways around it, and it was just a very bad performance. So, like I said, it would be too much of a negative video, and I don't want to just push a ton of hate, onto who are you. So I'm not gonna make like a video about it, but it was bad. It was very bad. He cost his team that match, 1,000,000%. Um, at least that's the way I saw it. Um, if you have rebuttals to that in the comments, please let me know. I would like to hear any other opinions. But that was the main difference for me, as well as a little bit better of a coaching strategy. Um, but yeah, Philly looking real strong, and New York did bounce back in 3-0 Houston, but it's Houston. So moving into the second big takeaway, it was actually Philadelphia's second match where they were very nearly reverse swept by the Toronto Defiant. So once again, Philly looked pretty dominant the first two maps. Looked like potential 3-0, and then Toronto really brought it together, came back, won the next two. Beast impressed me once again. Some people, I know that there have been people, a lot of naysayers of him. But for me, like I said, personally, I was like, he's pretty unproven, only been in contenders. He was on a stacked team. Is he going to really match up with these OWL guys? In my opinion, he totally has. He has totally lived up to it. This is like I said, Toronto very easily could have won this game. They could have been 2-0. So this big takeaway for me is they joined the Gladiators in the extremely good losses category. First week Gladiators lost 3-2 to the Titans. Ironic that both of my teams are those teams that played extremely well and barely lost to very good teams. But especially for Toronto, newer team, they have to feel good about this one. They're still sitting at just 1-1, so that's not bad at all. And Surefour looked like a significantly better McCree than Carpe. I don't think that's really debatable throughout the match. And Carpe was getting way more resources than Surefour was. Way more. And speaking of resources, Sato is one lucky man. He's good as well, but oh my god, is that Philly support line so good. Alarm is just as good as advertised. I think he might. I still think. I still think Twilight's a little better, but I think at this point he's a little better than Jonak. Until Jonak shows me more, I think at this point he's better. Maybe season one peak Jonak was better than Alarm is coming into the league, but man, Alarm is an absolute monster. I mean, the amount of heals that he was pumping up, the sleep darts he was hitting, he was staying alive for just so long, and Kareev was amazing too. They were going back and forth. That's why it was such a fun match because we had two really good McCrees. We had great Ana play. We had the Lucios that don't die very early at all in fights. And I thought that the May play was solid on both sides. Agilities was definitely better when they had him on Doomfist, but I thought his walls in particular were really solid in the second half of the match. Ivy had a couple of really poorly timed ultimates, but he also had some really nice moments as well. So it was a great match, super entertaining. We had a lot of entertaining matches. New York Philly was good. Philly Toronto was great. Paris Washington was interesting. Spitfire Washington was crazy. And then of course we have the 7 map set between the Boston Uprising and the Houston Outlaws. Man, what a match! I was rooting for both teams in this one. I was like, come on, these teams aren't going to be good this year. I wanted them to both get a victory, but obviously that can't happen. I think we're in Close. I mean, you're pretty much in panic mode if you're Houston. 0-4. Um, you got your homestand coming up. You got a couple of winnable games, particularly the first one going against London, which is losable but also very winnable. Um, they need to start winning matches. If they go to their homestead and drop both, I'm saying the season's over. It's just not. They're not coming back from an 0-6. So definitely panic mode for them. Um, but takeaway number three was the bottom is catching up. They really are catching up. We had London reverse sweep Washington. They could have 3-0'd them. Honestly, the first two maps were close. I mean, Justice just kind of clutched out the control maps. The on were they on Oasis? They straight up clutched it up. But those two rounds very well could have gone the other way, and it could have been at least a 3-1 in favor of London. So yeah, Washington, ouch. The second team this year to drop both matches of their homestead. That hurts. Now sitting at 1-3, two very winnable games. But yeah, like I said, some of these teams that are Boston at times they looked very capable, very capable. Their roster was way better this week. Now that they actually knew what the meta was, didn't have two effing main tanks trying to be out there run a Risa. Ugh, running a Risa is horrible. It's a throw. It really is for me. Just straight up. It's a bad move by the coaching, the staff. It's a bad move by the players. It's just you're making it way harder to win. Um, Little side note though, the fact that Arisa's a bad pick, and I think everyone kind of knows that at this point now, except very like niche moments. Arisa can be okay, but for the most part, Diva is just better. She just is. Um, but we saw Boston improve dramatically when they switched to the Ryan Diva. Dallas, they were running a lot of Ryan Arisa. Now maybe they now know the meta. So we could see a jump in performance from Dallas. So just something to maybe keep in the back of your brain and watch out for when they have their next week of matches. But yeah, other than like I said, Houston, they're having a real rough time. But Boston, they're not like the last half of last year. I think this is a team that can beat you if you don't show up. It really is. They're not a. I don't see them as a doormat anymore. Definitely still one of the weakest teams, but not a doormat. Paris, I had them at 17 in my rankings, and they kind of just handled Washington. And they don't have their best player in. Hanbin, who made his debut on the Diva, looked really solid, helped them out a lot. But even the guys like Hip, Ben Best, Nico, they were performing well. Is a bit surprising to me, to be quite honest. Turns out when Nico isn't on Diva, he can actually play. Um, but yeah, and then London, I had them. They were 18 in the power rankings, and they come roaring back and beat Washington. So I think that the bottom of the league right now is not that bad. It's not like season one where Florida was pretty much a free win most of the time. Shanghai was a free win. And then Dallas and the first half of the year, San Francisco were just bad. And then last year we had Toronto, which is a free win the second half of the year. Boston free win the second half of the year. Paris essentially a free win. Mayhem and Washington were a free win for the first half of the year. I don't see any of those teams except potentially Houston. But even Houston, they show there are moments and there are times. And can I just take a moment to praise Jekse? Oh my God, he played so well. He's played so well for them on the Lucio, and I feel horrible for him that they're 0-4 because he's played like a winning player, 100%. But the rest of the team, they've just had some really bad performances, swapping it in and out with Repel and Raucous. Every other map is just stupid. So hopefully Houston finalizes that shit. They get a person who can actually play McCree because Blase looks completely lost out there, completely outclassed by the other McCrees. Hopefully Linkser gets his head right or something. I don't know. They need a real hit scan. They need a real hit scan player. You can't get away with that shit when you got Carpe and Surefour and Sabiolbi and Jerry on Boston out there, Glister on the Spitfire. Like you can't get away with that shit when there's players that are this good. So hopefully they get someone in there. I honestly feel kind of bad for Blase because he's not a hit scan player. He's just not. He never has been in his career. So um, yeah, they got some problems, but the rest of that bottom half of the league, very competitive, which I absolutely love. That will probably change with a couple of teams over the course of the year, as we saw last year with guys like Toronto. It can really just go downhill, and you can lose so many maps in a row and matches. Um, but yeah, for right now, we got a competitive league. I really want to see the Chinese teams in Seoul and Atlanta get thrown in here to see where they stack up. But but yeah, those are the big takeaways from week number 3. Probably my favorite week of the year, just because we had so many crazy matches. Really, the Excel Outlaw match was the only one that wasn't close and wasn't super entertaining. Um, but yeah, let me know what you guys thought. Didn't have a lot of technical problems. I thought Justice did a really nice job of hosting. Thought the crowd was really good. Um, yeah, other than that, looking forward to week 4. We go to Houston. We got 7 matches, so very similar to this week, with just one extra map. And we do have Atlanta coming in, making their debut. So we get to see, they're the one new team that we get to see. We got to wait on the Chinese teams and Seoul for a little bit longer. But um, yeah, I'm just super excited. Want to see more Overwatch League. Let me know what you guys think. Was this week definitely an upgrade? If you didn't get to watch the matches, like I said, I would recommend watching pretty much all of them, the VODs. Look for a video coming out in the next couple of days, going over a couple of the VODs, in case you guys missed them, going over a few meta things and like small things that are happening and developing as we move through the weeks. But other than that, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have yourselves a wonderful start to the week, and I'll see you in the next one.